Welcome back to another Explainer, everyone. Today we're unpacking a truly fascinating framework from retired clinical psychologist Dr. Lane Lasater. He approaches our human journey in a really unique way. He basically treats life like this incredibly complex vehicle that requires its very own owner's manual. In his past work, he's talked all about understanding our deepest needs and inspecting our life's foundation. But Today we're zeroing in on a very specific and honestly often overlooked vulnerability on the road of life, knowing your addiction risk. Okay, let's dive into this. So, here's how we're going to navigate today's explainer. We'll kick things off by identifying the hidden road hazard, and then we'll move right into defining true addiction. From there, we'll map out how problems build over time, explore that critical turning point known as the light bulb moment, and finally, we'll give you the actual tools for assessing your addiction risk. Part 1. The hidden road hazard. And hey, keep in mind as we go through this, even if you feel perfectly safe behind the wheel of your own life right now, someone riding in your passenger seat might be incredibly vulnerable. Dr. Lasater has spent a long, successful career as a clinical psychologist, and he actually shares a lot of his wisdom over on his channel Life Roadmaps. What I love about his approach is that he frames addiction completely differently. It's not this moral failing, it's just a pragmatic, highly predictable road hazard in your life's owner's manual. His advice is super proactive. He literally says, I encourage you to also consider your risk for addiction. What's really interesting here is how this totally normalizes addiction as a standard health vulnerability. Think about how we manage our physical health, right? We all track our family history for risks like, say, heart disease or breast cancer without batting an eye. Well, Dr. Lasater argues that we need to apply that exact same level of vigilance to our mental health risks. We should be proactively tracking our personal vulnerability to addiction way before a crisis ever actually hits. And you might be wondering, why is this proactive approach so absolutely crucial today? Well, the landscape of addiction has blown up. It's expanded dramatically. We live in a society where millions of people are silently struggling with behavioral addictions. I mean, it's not just your traditional substances like alcohol or drugs anymore. We're talking food, sex, social media, gambling, shopping, the whole shebang. This surprising variety of modern addictions means that recognizing this road hazard, it's relevant to absolutely everyone, no exceptions. All right, moving on to part 2, defining true addiction. To firmly establish the clinical reality of what we're actually dealing with here, Dr. Lasater defines addiction with some very specific layers. Basically, a person becomes addicted when they chronically use a mood-altering substance or behavior just to cope with life. Over time, this chronic use leads to neglecting health, relationships, and just basic everyday responsibilities. So the crucial point here, the real line in the sand, is feeling completely unable to stop using despite the massive, undeniable problems the behavior is creating for the person or, the people around them. Ultimately, addiction is basically acting as a deeply flawed coping mechanism. Dr. Lasater's work explains that this vulnerability often stems from adverse childhood events, what experts call ACEs, and unmet basic human needs from our early environments. So instead of facing reality to mature and heal and grow, a person uses a substance or behavior to cope. And man, this just ends up actively damaging the 3 essential pillars of a stable life foundation: yourself, your work, and your relationships. Let's move into part 3, how problems build over time. You see, addiction doesn't just destroy a life overnight, right? It hijacks it in this highly predictable, compounded manner over months and years. And this downward spiral happens in 3 mechanical steps. Step 1 is escape. You use something to escape reality and withdraw from life, rather than engaging in learning new skills. Naturally, this inevitably leads to step 2, neglect. You start neglecting your emotions, your health, finances, and even your own spiritual development. And finally, that immense neglect triggers step 3, negative choices. You start acting impulsively, you might waste time and money, take scary legal risks, and ultimately, tragically, hurt the people you love. Which brings us to a really critical juncture. Part 4, the light bulb moment. Eventually, the intense reality of all those negative choices catches up. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of someone experiencing this. You're right in the middle of that downward spiral, and suddenly, bam, clarity hits. The light bulb goes on. You have this sudden, brutally honest realization. I need to use a substance or behavior less, maybe only engage in this on weekends, or I just need to stop completely. It's this moment of profound self-awareness where the desire to fix the engine is just incredibly strong. But tragically, that bright light bulb is almost always followed by this awful, sinking feeling. According to Dr. Lasater, that fresh resolve usually weakens within just a few days. Actually, scratch that. Sometimes it's hours. You either find you simply can't quit, or you don't even try because suddenly you're just not sure you can. It's this terrible sinking feeling that pulls you right back into using the addictive substance or behavior. So, what do we do? Let's move to the next part and see how we actually find a practical, clinical solution to this cycle.
Part 5. Assessing your addiction risk.
This is where Dr. Lasater provides his clinical assessment tool. It's essentially giving you a practical dashboard to, lift the hood and check your own engine. Based on his years and years of practice working with people struggling with addictions, he developed this straightforward screening tool using personal statements. It's super simple. You just rate yourself on a scale from 0 to 10. A score of 0 means the statement is completely untrue of you, and a score of 10 means it's very true of you. And this brilliantly illustrates how, once you tally up those scores, you can instantly categorize your personal addiction vulnerability. A total score under 50, that suggests a low risk. A score sitting between 50 and 100 points to a medium risk, and a score of 100 or more suggests a high addiction risk. It's so useful because it provides this immediate, completely objective look at your health vulnerability. It's literally just like reading a blood pressure chart at the doctor's office. However, there is a very, very important caveat from the source material that we absolutely cannot ignore. Listen to this. A single, very high score on any one statement can indicate a high addiction risk all on its own. Yep, so even if your overall total score is super low, you cannot overlook a glaring vulnerability in a single area of your life. If there's a single flashing indicator on your dashboard, it requires your full, immediate attention. Which really brings us to our final thought for today. If a warning light is indeed flashing on your life's dashboard right now, whether it's for you sitting behind the wheel or maybe for someone sitting over in your passenger seat, what steps will you take to begin the recovery process? Or maybe what steps will you take to stop enabling someone else? Because understanding the hazard, that's really just the very first page in the owner's manual. Navigating the actual road to recovery, well, that is the true journey. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and as always, keep learning.